Here's a conversation reflecting on Chapter 16, What Changes When You Live Upstream.
Today we're diving into some source material that, well, it really challenges our whole idea of discovery. It's built on this thought from Mark Firehammer, who was borrowing from Proust, that the real journey isn't about finding new landscapes. It's about getting new eyes. Our mission here is kind of a shortcut to that, to stop searching for a new answer and just correct the entire frame.
And that correction is exactly what the sources call living upstream. The core concept is this. Many of those personal struggles we all deal with, a lack of motivation, discipline.
Consistency, yeah, that's a big one.
Right. They aren't actually personal defects. They're just friction. Friction caused by a fundamental misalignment with this inherited civilizational lens we all look through.
That's a powerful idea. It shifts the burden completely. So if the struggle isn't a failure of my willpower, but a problem with the frame, okay, let's unpack this. What actually changes when you stop using all that energy to compensate?
It's really counterintuitive. The first shift people report isn't excitement or, empowerment. It's relief. Just a profound sense of relief.
Wait, just relief? That's a massive shift from the whole self-improvement model, which is always demanding more pushing. So you're saying by moving the problem away from being a personal defect, you just stop treating your inner life like a constant, grueling performance review.
Precisely. And the mechanism is simple. The huge amount of energy you were spending managing self-judgment.
That inner critic.
That inner critic, exactly, is suddenly freed up. That energy becomes available for simple attention, for care, for curiosity. The sources even note that your nervous system recognizes this quiet before your intellect even catches up.
Okay, so the pressure falls away, I get this energy back. But how does that translate into making decisions? I mean, doesn't stopping the push just lead to, inertia? I feel like I constantly need to ask, what should I push myself to do?
And that's the exhausting downstream question. The upstream shift moves you to a far cleaner question. What is actually being asked of me here? What's so fascinating is that this change isn't described as creating external confidence. Internally, it creates coherence.
Coherence. That sounds like finding the answer that already fits, rather than forcing one through willpower. It's about recognizing an alignment that's already there.
Exactly. And this totally redefines effort, which is the third shift. One of the quiet distortions of downstream living is the belief that everything meaningful must be hard.
Right, that the struggle itself is proof of legitimacy. If it isn't hard, it can't be worthwhile.
So effort doesn't vanish. You still exert yourself, but the struggle stops being the metric. You stop using exertion to compensate for misframing or trying to overcome these structures that were, as the source puts it, never designed for human coherence.
It sounds like it creates a more honest relationship with exertion.
It does. Effort returns to its proper scale, one that matches the reality of just being human.
And that leads, I assume, to the final quiet shift. The internal landscape gets quieter, but also more alive.
Yes, that constant negotiation with yourself, that ceaseless internal commentary, it just fades.
There's more space between stimulus and response.
And inside that quiet space, the core parts of being human return. But not as manufactured strategies. Interest, play, care, connection, they reappear as simple signals. The source material really emphasizes that the goal isn't to try to live upstream, but to develop the capacity to recognize when you already are.
So what does this all mean for you listening? The major benefits are relief, cleaner choices, and effort returning to a proper scale. It means repairing your life might be less about adding new self-improvement tasks and far more about removing the massive cognitive burden that was never required in the first place.
And this personal repair is intrinsically linked to the cultural struggle. The sources argue this whole system of misframing stems from the foundational separateness myth.
The idea that we're fundamentally disconnected, which is what the downstream frame reinforces.
Precisely. The book argues that personal reconnection creates cultural repair. Restoring that connection isn't just about individual well-being, it's necessary for human continuity, which it raises a really important question. If stopping the cycle of self-blame frees up such immense personal energy, how might that collective the stopping of billions of individual performance reviews, how might that begin to anchor the next, more connected version of humanity?
Thanks for listening. Before moving on, take a pause and read the next chapter. The conversation for that chapter will be waiting here when you're ready.